Hi there, it's Liz. I want to show you about Apple Classroom and how you can use it to help you manage your student iPads. Not manage in the way that we add apps to them, but manage in that you can see their screens, you can get them to the right app, etc. Should save a lot of class time once you get really comfortable using it. This is different than Google Classroom. Google Classroom has a totally different function. Before I show you that though, I want to explain I'm screen recording on my iPad, which is a new feature of iOS 11. To access it, you open Settings, go to Control Center, Customize Controls, and then you have all these options. I've already added screen recording, but you would see it down with the green plus sign. Tap on it and add it. I'll show you. Do you see the red dot on the right side of my screen? That's where I go to start recording. So, let's get on with it. The first thing you need to do to use Apple Classroom is find the app. So you're going to search for Apple Classroom on your teacher iPad. This isn't something you put a tech request in. It doesn't need to be on your student iPads. It just goes on your teacher, and it's that first one right there with the orange icon. Okay, so after you've downloaded the app on your teacher iPad, you're going to open it and create a class. I'm going to call this Mrs. Hobby Fakie class. And you can change the color. If you're a junior high teacher and have more than one period, oh, that's the color I already used, then you might want to use a couple different classes, and that's fine. Okay, the first thing after you make your class, open up your class and we want to add students. The thing I need to do is tap Add here, and as long as Add is open and has that 4-digit code at the bottom, students will be able to join a class. So I'm going to come over to a student iPad and show you what the student view is going to look like. So on my teacher iPad, I have that add students to this class with the 4-digit code. That window is open. And then I come to student, I open settings, and I see at the top it says classroom. Okay, when I tap on classroom, that class automatically pops up. That's because I have Bluetooth on. By the way, if it doesn't seem to work, make sure Bluetooth is on. Okay, all I'm going to do is add this iPad. Okay, now for information, I have my iPads numbered. If you have a self-contained class in one group of students, you could put in their first name, maybe last initial. If you have multiple students using the iPads and you're going to have them join the class each time, like junior high, you're going to need to play with that and see what works best for you. But no, this number is saved. So if a student puts in their name, the next time a student joins the class, if it's a different student, they're going to have to go in and change the name. All right? And then I'm just going to put in the 4-digit code, 5793. Tap Add. Now just for your information, I wouldn't show this to students. Down here, lock app and device, always. AirPlay and view screen, always. Okay, the alternatives are, if a student has this to ask, when you say lock the screen, it's going to pop up, the teacher would like to lock your screen. Is that okay with you? And that's just another, you're going to have to say yes anyways. So if you notice that it's not working for someone, you might double check those two down there and make sure that they're on always. Okay? So coming back over to the teacher iPad, you can see that I have two pop up. And I can either tap Add right now, but as soon as I tap Add, that number 2 is in, and I can see that they're in settings. No other students can join right now. So what I want to do is leave Add open, and then let all the rest of my students join. So I'm going to add a few more iPads. Okay, so after I've got them added, I'm going to tap Add, and now I have all 5 students. Now I've put these iPads into different apps just so you can see. You can see here I've got thumbnails that show which app each iPad is on. It's also grouped across the top. Now if I want to see their screens, I'm going to tap on Screens up here, and I can actually see their screen. Okay, so I can see when they're working. I just changed number 4. Okay, so I can get a quick look and see what's going on. I wonder If I tap on one, I can get a specific action. If I choose view screen, I can see more closely. All right? Now going through a couple of the other options here, of course, mute. Have you ever had a time when all your iPads have volume on and you're saying turn the volume down? I can just tap on mute and I can automatically mute all 5 of the iPads or all 30 of the iPads. Okay, now I want you to watch the screens. If I need everyone's attention, they're in the middle of doing something and I need their attention, I can just say, all right, I need your eyes up here. I'm going to lock your screens. And here's what happens. It locks all of the iPads. Now, do you see those 2 that say requesting permission? Those have a screen that says, Mrs. Hoppy wants to lock your iPad. Now, if they say deny, number 1 just denied. Permission denied. Is that an option? Not really. The best choice is always allow. That's what I'm doing on number 5. Okay, so I'm going to retry. I'm going to go stand by number 1 and say, this time please choose always allow. Okay, so that's locking and unlocking. Now I'm done saying what I want to say. I'm ready to unlock, and I just unlocked all 5 iPads, and they're going to be back to what they were doing. Okay, number 1 just decided it was going to update, so that one's going to be offline. So one thing that's interesting is I can make a group. Let's say I have, maybe it's a few students that I need to keep an eye on. Maybe it's a few students that I've let do an independent project and I want to be able to check with them quickly. I can come in here to group. I'm going to call this my squirrels group. And I want number 5 and number 3 to be in that group. And now I'm done in the top right. Now, when I need to see those specific students, instead of seeing all the iPads in all, I can come over here to squirrels, okay? Or independent workers, or however you need to group it. I can see this being really helpful if you're working with a small group of students, or if you have a small group of students working on their iPads somewhere else, all right? Now, the last thing I want to show you is how you can push things to student iPads. If I go to open, which looks like the App Store, and I want everyone to go to ChatterKid. Okay, you can see on all, ooh, that was interesting. So I was on squirrels, and it only opened ChatterKids for those. So I'm going to come back to all. That's kind of cool. I didn't know I had that control over the group. Okay, and now, oh, I chose open it on this iPad, and that is exactly what it did. Okay, now keep in mind, you may not have all the student iPad apps on your teacher iPad. You would need to add those. But I can open, not only can I go to whichever student app I want them to go to, but I can lock them in that app after opening. Kind of like guided access, I can make sure they don't go anywhere else. I just need to toggle that on before I tap on the app. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think it does. Okay, so that's pushing them into an app. What if I want them to go to a website? I can navigate. I can go to Safari. I'm going to see if I have anything interesting in my favorites. Okay, I want to go to coding. And I'm going to send all iPads there. All right, so I'm going to tap on done. And I can see, except for that number 1 that's updating, it pushed the rest of them to slides, which was the link that I had in Safari, apparently. Okay. The other thing I can do, though, is if I'm in Safari and I'm on a web page. By the way, Slides Carnival is a really great place to have templates for Google Slides. If I want to send this to all my student iPads, I can come to that Sharo in the top, the box with the up arrow. And I want you to watch for a second. Do you see what comes up in AirDrop? I have all of my students, or I have that group. So if I just wanted to send it to those 2, I would tap right there. I want to send this site to all my students. So I may not even have this in favorites. I can be on the fly looking for something, go, oh, let me send that to my students, and it's right there to send. Okay. Now, students also have this capability. So I'm going to have a student iPad go to a different website, and the exact same thing. They can tap on that on the box with the up arrow. I'm laughing because of what I'm about to send. And Mrs. Hoppy came up. Okay, so they can just send it to me. Now, when I come back into Classroom, go to screens, and I'm done. I think that covers most of the features. You're going to see it pretty clearly once you start using it and experimenting with your class. Notice this little sharing that came up. One student shared a link to me, and I get that through Classroom. Here's the link. I click on it, and it's a squirrel. So there we are. All right, so I'm going to come back to Classroom. We've got the features across the top. Now when I end the class, this is the last thing. Classroom automatically generates a report. Now you see the apps that were used across the top, you can see the items shared, and then you see all the students that were in the classroom on the bottom. If you want more information about one student, you can click on one student and you see this report. It shows all the apps that student was in, so I can look at the blue lines that go across horizontally. So the student was in settings, and then in sight words, and then where it's grayed out there, it means the screen turned off and he wasn't doing anything. Went back into sight words, went down to Chatter Kids, and then Slides, and then Safari. Now this report's not going to print. There's no print feature on this right now. So if there's something you want to document, you could just take a screenshot of it. All right, and that's going to work for every student. I think that's it for Apple Classroom. Enjoy, have fun. I hope this helps you with your students.